in this video, we're going to take you through a lower body stretching sequence. So we're going to start from the bottom and work our way up. So with your stretches, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're holding for at least 30 seconds. You're welcome to hold longer, but for each stretch, you should be holding for at least a minimum of 30 seconds. So the first stretch that we're going to go through today is going to be for your calf muscles. So that's the muscle just on the back part of your lower leg here. So when you're on your bike, you want to make sure that you have the brake on just so that you're not rolling as you're holding your stretch. So what I'm going to ask Donna to do is I'm going to ask her to place both of her feet on that front axle, just on the balls of her feet. Then what she's going to do is she's going to let her heels dip down towards the ground. So again, you want to try to feel that stretch through the back. So we want to hold this for 30 seconds. So as Donna's holding, she really wants to try to make sure that she's feeling that stretch all through the back part of her calf here. So if she's not feeling it as much, then I would just cue you or her to push her feet even more towards the ground. Really try to feel that muscle elongating and stretching. If you're not comfortable doing it both feet at the same time, you can always put one foot on the floor and just focus on the one calf. Okay, so that is your calf stretch. So we're just going to be moving our way up the legs. So next we're going to be working on her hamstring stretch. So that is the muscle on the back part of your thigh. So for this one, we're going to do, we'll start with 2 legs, and then again, you're welcome to do it 1 leg at a time if you're comfortable. So from this position, I'm just going to get Donna to extend her knees straight over top of the axle, like so. And then keeping a nice tall posture, I'm going to get her to forward bend from her waist, leaning into the handlebars. And we're looking to feel that stretch behind the knee and up the back of the thigh. So Donna's just going to hold this stretch again for 30 seconds. So it's also important that you keep your toes pulled up. So keeping your toes pulled up towards the sky is going to help accentuate that stretch, and you're going to feel it a little bit more behind that thigh. So again, if you're not comfortable doing it with 2 feet, you can always put 1 foot on the ground and just focus on the single leg as we're holding this stretch here. So again, it's important to note that you don't stretch to pain. It should just be a comfortable stretch. You don't want to be wishing and waiting for your 30 seconds to be up. Okay, good. So that is your hamstring stretch. So moving up our leg, we're now going to move to your quadricep muscles and your hip flexors. So keeping 1 foot firmly on the ground, I'm going to get Donna to put her left foot down, and I'm going to get her to bring her right foot back behind her body, toes pointed on the ground. So you want to have a nice tall posture. Think about kind of pushing your hips forward, squeezing your bum muscles, and holding that position. So Donna should be hopefully feeling this stretch to the front of her thigh and into the front part of her hip. So it's important to note that you don't overextend through your back, because then you're probably going to end up with a little bit of back discomfort as you're doing this. This is your target area for the stretch. If you're feeling the stretch or any discomfort in any other place in your body, then just readjust your position until you find that isolation through the front of your hip and your thigh. So as I mentioned before, you want to also think about kind of squeezing your bum muscles to help get that little bit of posterior rotation through your pelvis. That'll help accentuate the pull in through the front of your thigh. Okay, so now we're going to move over to her left leg to stretch out the quads and the hip flexors again. So I'm going to ask Donna to reach back with her left leg, toes pointed towards the ground, and think about squeezing her bum muscles, pushing her hip forward, trying to feel that stretch through the front of her hip. So we're going to hold this position for 30 seconds. So the further you reach your leg back, the more stretch you'll get. But again, if you're getting a little bit of back discomfort, bring the leg back in and just really try to squeeze those bum muscles to try to help open up the leg as much as you can. So it should be a nice comfortable stretch, no pain, just feeling those muscles elongate. Okay, perfect. That's great for that side there. So moving up again, we're going to move to your low back. So for this one, we're just going to be doing a little bit of a forward flexion into the handlebars. So you can have your feet either on the floor or on the front axle of the bike, whatever you're most comfortable doing. So from here, you want to almost try to round out your back like a cat, and you want to bring your chest down towards the handlebars like so. So we're just looking to open up your lower lumbar spine, open up those spinal segments, and just trying to feel a little bit of a stretch and an opening through your low back. So this one won't feel as strong of a stretch as, say, your calves or your hamstrings, but this position will just help take a little bit of pressure off of the spine, off of your discs, and just make it feel a little bit more relaxed. So again, 30 seconds is the norm, but you're welcome to hold a stretch for much longer if it's feeling good in the moment. Okay, good. So we have, next we're going to stretch out a little bit more of your sides of your back, so your QL muscles, a little bit of your obliques. So I'm gonna get Donna to go into that position again, but not as extreme. And then what she's going to do is she's just going to rotate her body to look towards the side of the room. So for this stretch, Donna should be feeling this a little bit more through the left-hand side of her low back and a little bit up into her ribs. So we're just trying to stretch things out a little bit, opening up. She might even feel a little bit in through her hip flexors on her right side as well. But having that little bit of forward flexion with the rotation just opens up your spine and your low back even more. So what we do on one side, we also want to do on the other side. So we're going to hold for 30 seconds on each. So that's perfect there, Donna. I'm going to get you to go towards the opposite side. So a little bit of a forward bend, holding onto the handlebars, and reach around. So again, she'll probably feel that a little bit on through her hip flexors and through her low back. So it's important to have good posture as you do this. If you get into the position and you have some discomfort, just adjust how much you're forward bending. Either bend forward a little bit more or ease off and then rotate. So there's a general positioning with stretches, but each person is different, so you just want to adjust a little bit for what's comfortable for you. Okay, that's perfect there, Donna. Okay, so one last stretch for this lower body stretching circuit is we're going to stretch through our lats and our QL. So what I'm going to ask Donna to do is, holding onto the handlebars with her left hand, I'm going to get her to reach her right arm up above her head and then side bend to her left. So for this one, she should be feeling it through her lower waist, and depending on how tight she is, or yourself, you might feel it even higher up, closer towards the underarm area. So depending on how comfortable you are, you can keep your feet firmly on the front axle of the bike, or you can put them onto the ground. So we're going to hold this for another few seconds. You really want to try to reach for that opposite wall as best you can. Really try to traction and open up through the side of your torso. Good. So you can relax down there, Donna, and we'll try the opposite side next. So reach up and side bend over. So for this one, I might get Donna to place her feet on the floor for me. And if she's comfortable enough, if she feels steady on the bike, I'm going to get her to place her right hand on her hip. And then she might be able to reach a little bit more, really trying to feel that stretch through the front of her hip and up along the side of her torso. So it's almost like you're playing a little bit of a tug of war between the 2 points of your body, between your hip and between the tips of your fingertips. Each one is trying to go in the opposite direction to achieve maximal stretch through that area. Perfect, and relax. So that is your circuit for lower body stretches.